Hey guys, what's up? Zach Calhoon here. Excited today because we are releasing a brand new interview with me and Eli Jones. And I can tell you right now, this is one of the most valuable interviews I've ever done. So I'm super excited about it. If you are in the real estate media space, if you create virtual tours on CloudPano, if you make drone videos or photos, if you do photography for real estate, I think you're going to enjoy this interview. We talk about his operation, gross revenue. He's very transparent. How he operates and runs a $1 million a year business for real estate media out of the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I guess he moved to Miami. He's living the good life now. No, I'm just kidding. But there's a lot of good things that we take away from this interview. And I ask a lot of prodding questions because I want to know, hey, how do you think, or what are you thinking, or how do you go about that process? Hiring hourly, pricing models, breaking into new businesses, graduating from a solo shooter to building teams, thinking like a broker instead of thinking like a realtor to sell to larger contracts. Just a lot of good insights that I think everyone will benefit from watching this interview. So take a moment. If you can't watch the full thing right this second, save the link, watch this entire video. I think you're really going to enjoy it. I really try my very best to ask questions that you would really want to hear, whether you're brand new, starting out, or looking to scale and grow. So check out this interview, share it with some friends, like and subscribe to the channel. I really would appreciate that. And overall, have a great day. My wish is that you have great success. So hope this interview helps you get there. All right, talk soon. This episode is brought to you by Pictastic.ai. Create property websites for project and photo delivery for your real estate. Automatically create property websites, host on your own URL, require payment to download, and let's make sure we always get paid through every project. And now announcing our new virtual staging AI tool. Inside Pictastic.ai, you can add empty rooms, click a button, and virtually stage with furniture like bedrooms, living rooms, kitchens, etc. completely 100% with AI in about 25 seconds. It's an incredible tool where you can add empty rooms and then deliver them fully furnished with beautiful virtual staging, all with one click inside of Pictastic.ai. Create property websites, virtually stage photos, and get paid every project, every time. Let's go crush together. See you at Pictastic.ai. Hey guys, welcome. Zach Calhoun here. Hope you're doing well today. Today got a very special guest, Eli Jones. I think the history of me and Eli Jones is about 5 seconds ago. I've seen his really great YouTube stuff, admired some of his work and what he's doing. I know he's helping a lot of people. So I set up an interview and I was more than down to do it. So I'm super thankful and grateful to have you here on the show. But without further ado, Eli, I would love for you to tell our audience and our users, what you do, who you are, kind of give us the macro view of what Jones Ventures is, man, or whatever. What is it even called?
Yeah, no, I appreciate it.
Sure.
First of all, thanks for having me, Zach. It's good to meet you as well. I thought it was funny. Right before we went live, we were chatting about just like entrepreneurship and how kind of like both of what we do is about helping people with an avenue for that. So I thought I was going to go to college to be a doctor for a long time because I was worried about making money, and that's what you do if you want to make money, right? So anyway, I was always interested in businesses. I had like a bunch of little businesses, and like super long story short, I moved from Alaska to Texas when I was 16, and I knew nobody here in Texas. I'm not in Texas anymore, but at the time I knew nobody in Texas, and I had a camera from Alaska. I would take pictures skiing, and I needed to make some money because I was a teenager and I didn't want to work a job. So I accidentally started with my first real estate shoot in like 2012. My mom was a real estate agent for like 6 months. And so I shot a house for her. It was like the worst pictures you can possibly do. It was like no tripod, terrible, right? And it just grew from there. I started taking that business more seriously a couple of years later. Grew that into an agency that's called Norman & Young, still operates today, has a great team that runs that business. And I started a business kind of in alignment with what I like, which is education. I think that's been a big one for me. That's like helped me, make more money and grow my business. And so I started a coaching company where we help people start theirs. So that's what it looks like today.
Cool. Well, I'm going to ask you about all those things. And here's my goal today. and I'm going to tell you this. This is my selfish goal. I think we show me what kind of. I'm sorry, this is an aside. What kind of chair do you have back there? I think I have the same chair as you.
It's the non-fancy Target
Okay,
chair. I got it
look
from
at
a
this
buddy of
right
mine.
here,
Yeah,
bro.
is it the same
We
one?
we
Yep.
are doing something. We got some kind of
It is.
vibes going here.
That's our
Stand up.
secret, actually.
Okay, that's it. Yeah, we got
The
to.
chair.
I was like, that is the same chair I sat in. But I'm standing up right now, stand up desk mode. Sorry, that's like
Good.
makes no difference to this call. But I just thought that was interesting. Interesting. We're on the same
is.
wavelength. Okay. Yeah. So let's start with Norman and Young.
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, that's right. Norman and Young got it. Because I like to look at people that we're going to interview a little bit. So Norman and Young got it. So is that out of Austin or where is it located?
Yeah, so it's in Dallas Fort Worth is our primary two markets, the DFW Metroplex, and we do a little bit in Austin, but most of our business is DFW.
Got it. Okay. Great market, big market. It's like two states basically. So I can imagine it's a good place to be.
Yeah.
Let's start there. And because I know we at CloudPano have a ton of folks that are in the real estate media space. So I just want to like learn all the secrets. Okay. I'm gonna ask you all the hard questions.
Let's do it.
First off, let's say you are, let's put out a scenario. Brand new. I just moved to Dallas Fort Worth. I'm 18 years old. I'm young, but man, I need some walking around money. I am broke as a joke. I want to get started. And then I want to talk about kind of the phases of your business and how it went. Can you talk about what that's like? And then, so you started with your mom's house. Great. Then we all have that story. We kind of did our first house. I was like, what is this? But then you have to learn something. So then I want to talk about your first kind of big break and how that went. So who's the client? I have my first people are in my mind. So I never forget.
Same. I mean, my first client's in my mind for sure. The house I shot that I mentioned was actually, it wasn't my mom's listing. She was a new agent. So she's showing other listings for other agents. And so I would say like the first one that made me go like, this is a crazy industry is that same client. Her name's Anne. She still works with us today. It's been like 12 years. It's crazy. But anyway, so I shot that house. We sent her the photos and she loved them. And she was like, well, how much would you charge me? I got 3 other listings. And I was young at the time. I was 16, right? So I was like, $60. And she said yes. And I did 3 of them in a day. And I was like, what is this? It was actually like 4 listings, but 3 in one day, 1 the next or something like that. And so for me, that was a crazy amount of money. I think that still is a decent amount of money for one day with a camera, right? So I made $240 over 2 days. And that was like, looking back, I'm like, man, I didn't take advantage of it because I was excited, but then I kind of did other stuff. And so I focused on like, I did some work for a school doing like these crazy lip sync videos and I did headshots and portraits and all this stuff. And I think it was accidental. Like one of the biggest things, and I think you could probably speak to this too, but one of the biggest things I learned is that if you focus on one thing, it's always better than trying to do a little bit of everything. And so I kind of accidentally stopped doing that other stuff because I just got busier with real estate. And once I was like, wait a second, I'm not a photographer, right? I'm just going to shoot real estate. That was when my business changed. I started taking it seriously. Like long story short, I decided I wasn't going to be a doctor anymore and I went all in. And I would say like the biggest story that resonates with me is I made $800 in a day and I talked to my dad about it and he made this joke about how he couldn't afford me anymore. And I don't know why, it just like stuck with me. So that was like my bigger like, geez, crazy.
Cool. Okay. So you made $800 in a day. It was a good feeling, especially when your dad obviously says, hey, good job, son, or says it in a funny way without you realize it. Kind of a second. Yeah, totally get that. That's awesome. So why, okay, you started niche down into industrial, which I've seen a lot of folks do that in a very successful way because they're basically, it seems like today, especially people are building like these machines, these operational machines, and just like very, very clean. Like it's basically like they're building an operation. It's less about photos, it's more about like efficiency and like what I've seen now with the market now is just like it's all about operational efficiency. The more operational efficient you are, the more money you're going to make, period, and the more work you're going to get. So let's talk about like what made you decide to just do real estate only? Was it because people kept asking you for more stuff, or it was just easier to sell?
Yeah.
What was the kind of the
I mean, reason? That's a great question. I think like I lucked into real estate media, so I think the industry is partly the reason. So part of it was I just got a ton of referrals because that's the way real estate media works. And so those referrals made me busier and busier.
Okay.
But also they're easy projects, right? So it's like, you do 4 shoots in a day and in a decently busy day, you're done and all your projects are off your plate. And I kind of like that because I could just get it done, get paid, move on to the next one. So I think it was a lot like I talk about there's 3 things that make real estate media awesome: repeat business, referral business, and it's kind of required, not legally, but like agents need it. So those 3 things I think made it so I was more successful with it. And then I started seeing that and I'm like, wait a second. So that's kind of like what caused that. It wasn't me going, oh, I'm so smart, let me niche down. It was just an accident that I look back on and I'm like, that's the move.
Interesting. You should. I like those 3 R's required.
Hmm.
I like the fact that you said that because it is required. Like there's the
Yeah.
one thing that's required for every list. There's only one thing media wise. You gotta have photos. You gotta have at least one photo. Like it has
Yeah.
there if there's no photo, it doesn't exist. Like it could actually exist. So I like
Yeah.
that you're thinking that way. It's very interesting. Because CloudPano
Hmm.
produces over 3 tours are really cool and they're super awesome technology, but are they required to sell the house every single time? Well, the obvious answer is like no. Otherwise, it'd be 100% of every listing would have 3 tours. But
Yeah.
photos are required. So starting there, understanding that, also sometimes that can make it more consolidated because everyone's thinking
Yeah.
about those things as well too.
Yeah.
But I like that. So I want to talk. I want to discuss all 3 R's. So when you
Yeah.
say it's required, let's start there, and then we'll go back to referrals and repeatable in a moment.
Yeah.
But um, so when you say it's required,
Yeah.
what's required? What is the
Yeah.
minimum required? So to have a successful listing or to be successful,
Hmm.
what's actually required? When you're 16 years old, you think, oh, I'm just take some photos and it's done. Well, what's the actual minimum
Yeah.
product requirement?
I mean, it's funny. It's still dependent on the agent you ask. I think you and I
Okay.
and people listening probably understand that photos, if you're not doing photos, you're missing out.
Mm-hmm.
The cool thing with real estate media, though, is so like you need to do photos, but there's also things that agents will pay that help them. So 3D tours are a great
Mm-hmm.
example of that. You can build stuff with CloudPano that can help them, right?
Yeah.
Drone stuff, that's photos, but it's a different type.
Yeah.
Video is becoming more popular. And
Mm-hmm.
so, yeah, I mean, as a base requirement, some sort of media, because homes are sold online today, right? And they're
Mm-hmm.
marketed online, so you need some sort of digital media.
Mm-hmm. So then what goes into creating a photo? Like tell me that part. Tell the newbie, the
Yeah.
brand new 16-year-old, what's it mean? What's that mean? Just take your camera out,
Yes,
shoot
you
it?
mentioned it earlier. It's like there's all other types of photography and there's real estate photography. There's like a
Uh-huh.
ton of creativity on other side. Like real estate is the same thing every single time. There's ingredients like baking. So if you ask me, it's 3 HDR photos or 3 photos that are taken in an HDR format. So it's an
Mm-hmm.
underexposed and middle exposed. You blend them together.
Yep.
It's best to have an editor do that and you not to do it.
Yep.
And the more artistic you are, the less money you'll typically make as a real estate photographer.
Interesting. So when you say have an editor, HDR photos, what's your process look like? Do you have 3 brackets, take a photo, and then like
Yep.
that goes into a folder, which goes to an editor, and he edits them, and or
Yeah.
she, and then bring it back to our team, and is there
Yep.
the next day? Describe that process for folks that don't
Yeah,
know.
so it was the same when it was just me and the same we have a team. We shoot all the photos as 3 bracket. At the end of the day, they drag and drop our team those photos to the editor. The editor takes the raw photos and delivers a final photo, usually about 5 or 6 a.m. And then our delivery team wakes up and delivers all the photos. So it's 24 hours, but it's really the next morning. And that's
Yeah.
standard real estate media stuff.
Yeah. So when someone hears 24 hours, like what?
Yeah.
Wait, talk about that a little bit because I
Yeah,
feel like I'm talking about operational efficiency, bro. That's where everything's at. So
it is.
I'm
Yeah.
like, this is the game. Like if you can figure this
Yeah.
game out, you can be successful. So let's talk about that.
Yeah.
I want to hear
Well,
about
it's funny because a lot of people are scared of it that are in other types of photography. So if you're coming from weddings, you're like, what 24? Like, I don't want to do that, right? And it sounds
Mhm.
bad. You said it. Like, I think it's actually an awesome part about our business. So real estate agents want the photos before you've shot them. They're ready to get the house sold, right? They
Yeah,
want to
yeah.
market it. And so it's a tight timeline. But the benefit of that, like the thing I like about it is I don't like these big, long, outstanding projects. Like, I want to do the shoot. I want to deliver it and get paid really fast and move on to the next one and then just do a lot of those units. So like a real estate media provider, you're just like, how many houses can I shoot this year? And you make $300 on average a house. So it's just math. And so I like that about it. It's very like, just get it done and move on. Easy projects, an hour on site, average, maybe a little shorter. You should be aiming for like 45 minutes. It's just like a different game than any other type of photography.
Okay, cool. I like this. So our goal is 45 minutes, 24-hour turnaround. All right, 16-year-old Eli, don't forget that. So it's coming. So then tell me this. What is what's pricing look like for you? I know it's the biggest question,
Yeah.
and we want repeatability. We want referrals. We also, so I like those 3 R's. But it sounds like, to summarize what's required, it's like HDR photos, have an editor, and then be
Yeah.
able to submit those photos to your customer the next day. Is
Yeah.
that kind of the minimum? Would you say that's probably accurate?
It is, yeah. And I think like pricing wise, so okay, so 16-year-old Eli versus now, the industry's changed a lot, and I was an idiot, to be clear. So when I was 16, I edited all night, and then I delivered the photos in the morning, and that was terrible. And I charged $60 a house. Like, none of that is what you want to do. So today, what we see is you want to be shooting in most markets for an average order value of about $275 at a minimum. So if you take all the shoots you do, and sometimes you do shoots that are $800 with video and 3D and all that stuff, and sometimes you do like drone photos only, we want to see around $300 per shoot to do that. And so that's typically what you see. Some markets you get way more, but $300 is a pretty good average.
Yeah. Okay. And then if you're, so let's say you're a solo shooter, or you're kind of trying to get rolling. If your goal is, AOV, right? Average order
Yeah.
value. That's an e-commerce. That's a marketing term. It's a term we use
It
in
is,
software.
yeah.
What's the average order value? We're trying to like optimize that all the time. What's that entail? Like, you mentioned photos, you mentioned
Mhm.
video, you mentioned drone, you mentioned virtual
Yeah.
tours. Are those just the standard offerings? There's also floor plans,
Yeah.
right? What gets that AOV up? And what do
Yeah.
you see are very common? Like, what's the most common, in your opinion, from what you've seen, from data you've seen, normally young, et cetera?
Yeah.
What's the most common folks are grabbing as an upsell, or as an upgrade, or adding to their cart? Like,
Yeah.
what are some of those product mixes that really work well?
Yeah, it's changed a little bit over the years as like different products have come and gone in popularity. What I would say is like there's three big products, right? Photos, videos, and virtual tours. And there's subcategories. So you're gonna like video and 3D tours are gonna sell and make you a lot of money because they're bigger ticket items, but I would say they sell less frequently than like drone photos as an add-on. So we do a ton of drone photos, and then we do a decent amount of videos and 3D tours as well. Those mean more when they get ordered because they're $250 versus $100 for drone photos. So yeah, video I think has become pretty common, but it depends on the agent. It really is one of those things where you just got to consult your clients, talk with them, see what they want, and try to suggest stuff that aligns with their marketing. So
Okay, makes sense. So are you quoting custom, like, hey, here's this agent's kind of package that he likes or he or she likes, and like, we're gonna put this, here's their special link, they can
yeah.
buy it whenever they want to? Is that what I'll typically do?
Yeah, so on the front end, there's like a standard order form that any new client sees. But one of the
Mhm.
things we do to try to boost that average order value is once they start working with us, we'll consult them and be like, okay, here's what you ordered. I can build you a custom package. I'll give you a little bit of a discount if you want any of this other stuff. And so we kind of like build them a package. Typically, that's the best way to like we do what we talked about, which is you want to drive average order value up. The higher the average order value, the better the business, more profit. So that's one of the ways that we do it.
Okay, I like that. So like, it makes sense that people come to you and in first order, it's just photos. Like, it's
Yeah.
175 for photos or whatever the number. I have no idea. And you do a good job. Now that you deliver photos and they're happy, when they're in that
Hmm.
state of elatedness, you're like, hey, we want to customize something for you because we love you so much. We want to make sure you don't have to even think
Yep.
about anything in the future or think about any of your competitors, right? So we'll just
Yeah.
make you a custom package. So in that discovery, you guys put together a package that fits their needs, and obviously you're going to be communicating all the upsells that you could possibly
Yep.
bring to the table. Makes total
Yep.
sense. Cool. I like that. So that's actually a good data point for me. It's like, once someone has success and is very, very happy, they're in a very happy mode. Maybe
Then you
now is
ask.
the
Yeah.
time to customize for stuff or ask for
Yeah.
things, or even make it seem like it's tailor fit to them, even though it's like the same for everybody. It could be,
Yep.
but that's what a salesperson would do a good job of, is like, hey, this is going to go from one customer, like one order, into an account that we're going to manage. Would that be a good way to describe it?
Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
Okay, cool. I like that. So then you mentioned you're doing a ton of drone photos. We love drone. CloudPano loves drone providers. We got a lot
Mhm.
of them. When you say do a ton of drone, let's talk about fulfillment. Does every one of your photographers have a drone in their car, or is it separate people? I want to hear about that.
Yeah, so we've done it all kinds of different ways. Like what we've done for the last few years that I think is the most efficient is that every person on our photography team is trained on all the different things we shoot. So
Okay.
photos, drone, they get their drone license, they learn video, all that stuff, just so we can send anybody anywhere. So we don't break it down by skill. We just encourage them to learn everything, and they'll get more shoots if they do. So it works in their
Okay.
favor as well.
Makes sense. So they're incentivized to go increase their skill set so they can be included in that higher upgrade order because
Yeah.
they get paid as well. Okay, cool. Makes total sense. I love that. We actually sometimes we'll do proposals for virtual tours that are for large commercial projects, maybe even national scale sometimes. And we
Yeah.
always try to upsell drone because there's a drone perverse person everywhere. So
Yeah.
they're always somewhere. And it's an
100%.
easy thing to like say yes to at the last possible second. It's happened a bunch of times, and I just love that. And because you can really get some super high quality, great stuff in the air. It's so cool. It's a good way to start off
Yeah.
from the virtual tour space, especially commercial. It's a great place to start is in the sky and then come on down.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So let's talk about what you pay your team because I think that's
Yeah.
a big deal, and also how to recruit those people. Like I kind of operational efficiency. I kind of love this. I love this kind of stuff. But and then
Same.
maybe at what point before we get there, at what point do you hire your first photographer? Let's say you're a solo
Yeah.
person.
Yeah.
When do
So
you find somebody? How do you find them? What do you pay them? Go ahead.
yeah, no, good question. So I'll just like take it from the beginning. So
Sure.
I hired too early, around 10K a month. That's a mistake. So what I recommend is you get to at least 15K a month solo, because that kind of forces you to make sure you're running efficiently so that you can get to 15K by yourself. What happens if you hire too early is you just duplicate your own inefficiencies in other people. So I kind of like that as a filter. So we recommend, and when we work with people, it's 15K is when you start thinking about hiring. How we recruit and pay looks like this. So with our type of media, the thing with real estate media, it's pretty simple. And so we don't hire people that they don't need to have any prior camera experience at all. What we found is that it's real estate media is a people business. You got to, have your agents like you and stay connected with them. And so we hire people that are great with people. They come across well to us in the interview. That's usually like servers, anybody who's like used to working for tips generally. So we find someone that's awesome, and then we train them the media. And this is market to market. In DFW, we have our starting pay at $25 an hour, and then it goes up to like $40 an hour for our training photographers, and they're paid while they're shooting. And so that's kind of our strategy.
Okay.
Is like we like to train. If someone comes to me already as a real estate media provider, I don't typically think they should work with us at Norman Young. I think they've already shown interest to like start their own business, and that's awesome. But we're looking for people that just want an awesome job and who have customer service experience.
Okay, let's stop there. That's really interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
I like this. Okay, so because you're actually going into like the psychology of the people you hire, which I really like that a lot, because we're thinking about that stuff all the time, and I've seen very similar behavior. If someone's already kind of off doing their own thing, they end up drifting off over there and doing it. It's just the way the world is, and if they're used to work for somebody and that's what they want, and that's fine too. That's people you want to kind of lean towards from the hiring process. Okay, cool. I like this. So here's the thing I saw. I'm sorry. Well, I'm looking at you. That counts, I guess. So you said you pay hourly while they're shooting. Okay. Very interesting to me. All right. So let's say you got a photographer doing 3 shoots and it takes them 3 hours, or her.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all they're happy with that. Or is it like they got to be, how do you keep them fed, I guess? And it's an interesting concept because I interviewed Brandon Voss he's out of Houston area, actually. He does like 200 listings a month. He pays per shoot. He pays like a percentage of the listing price. And that's what I've seen a bunch of folks do. So talk about hourly versus paying, maybe a certain rate per shoot based on the scope, and your opinion about that.
Yeah. So, there's many different ways to do it. There's big companies that do thousands of listings a year that do any method, whether it's contractors or we're W-2 and they're part-time. And I used to do salaried full-time. And so what we've found is that for us, the best model is the part-time hourly. Like I said, we pay them while they're shooting. And the reason we do that is because we get to now find people who are doing this as a second job or in addition to something else. We found that this job best benefits them. So what I mean by that is if someone's going to college right now and they want a nice job while they're in college that doesn't involve being at a bar, right? Great job. If they want a second job, if they are, a stay-at-home mom and they just want to work some hours, like those are the people we found that are the most benefited by the way we structure it. And so we do that now. And the reason we pay hourly over a percentage is when we did the percentage thing, I think it creates kind of, if you're not careful with it, a sort of interesting dynamic where they're like, I'm doing all this work and only getting 20%, because they don't necessarily see like there's a ton of other costs, right? There's editing, there's the like market, all that stuff. And so I like the hourly because it's better hourly than they're going to make most places else, right? Average $30 an hour is great.
Yeah.
And we build it to them, to their schedule, kind of like if you worked for Uber, but you actually work for us, right? You can pick when you work. So that's how we do it with our team. We let them pick when they're going to work. And so that's worked for us the best, I think. And that's how we like it.
Cool, cool. I don't want to miss this point where you said you're looking
Mhm.
for folks who are used to maybe hourly,
Yeah.
other than folks, someone who's already has real estate or even photo experience.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that and why you ended up doing that, or why you're doing that more now. I
Yeah.
I want to hear from any. You have any experience or any stories you want to share? I'm curious, just how you ended up.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, so I think the mistake everybody makes, at least I made it. I made it like multiple times in a row because that's how I have to learn sometimes, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. But I would get into the point where I needed to hire and I was behind, and I would be like, I need to hire fast. So what
Mm-hmm.
do you do when you need to hire fast? You're like, I want someone that's already trained. So I would hire someone that already knew what they were doing.
Mm-hmm.
And they, it's great for a year and then they go do their own thing. And I'm like, dang it, they just took all the stuff we taught them and they went to someone else. And that's not a problem. I love people starting businesses. One of my businesses is helping people start businesses, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think you need to know who the people, like there's two types of people and there's not one that's better than another, right? There's someone that just wants a job and that facilitates their goals in life. That's awesome. Maybe they're going to school doing something else. And there's someone who wants to start a business. Someone who wants to start a business shouldn't be in a job, and someone who wants to have a job shouldn't start a business, in my mind, right? And that can change as life progresses. But like, we found that if we hire people who don't want a job, it works better for us and works better for them. Someone who
Yeah.
wants their own business, they shouldn't use us as a crutch. They should just go start their own business, And
Okay.
so I think it's better for all involved. People just get kind of weird about that. They're like, oh, you don't want them to compete? I'm like, no, I don't want them to compete. But also, I only want to find people who that's cool with them. Like, I don't want to hold someone back either.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Cool. I like that a lot. All right. Interesting. I'm just thinking about my own hires and how we think about
Yeah.
it for us.
Mhm.
Cool. And I do think this is not necessarily always true, and no one's better than the other one. I think all very, very, very much the case. But if you do have that entrepreneurial itch, and it's if it's scratching at you, and you're kind of secondarily working with us or with whatever, that can hold back creativity or can hold back
Yeah.
happiness in general. And
Yeah.
I want people to be happy. I want people to enjoy what they're doing.
100%. Yeah. I
So
don't want I don't want someone in a job that needs to start their own business. I don't want to be like a safety net, Starting a business, you got to take risk, and I don't want to be the one stopping somebody from doing that. I think that's not a place I want to be.
yep, makes total sense. I can relate a lot. I have more stories, but I will save them
You
for
know what's
another
funny? Just
time.
one quick thing. I think entrepreneurs can't understand that. So when they hire somebody that just wants a job, they're like, oh, it feels weird, but there are plenty of people, because it's just your perspective. Like, you and I
Uh-huh.
want to own a business. Some people don't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is very true. And I have to just be okay with someone else's like perspective or outlook or like
Yeah.
maybe where they're at in life, and that's fine. And
Yeah.
and also be okay with not understanding it, and that's okay too. You know, yeah, it's like I totally get that. I think we sometimes tend to look for things that we or people or that we gravitate towards and
Yeah.
we're similar to, that can actually hold back this what we're talking about, which is hiring for a specific project scope of work. Like, this is not like the same thing. Like, we're not trying to be friends. We're trying to like get a project done really well. And actually, the stay-at-home mom example, or the folks that you mentioned that could or college second job, they want that. They want the environment of jumping onto it and do it for a period of time, but not all the time. So that makes total sense. And I guess that's maybe I need to rethink some things, which is good. I appreciate it. I'm learning something today, guys. This is good. This is wonderful. All right, cool. That's funny. I say I'm learning something today, guys. I learned something for those who are watching this in the future, but even right now it's just me and Eli, so it's fine. Okay, so we talked about what was required. We talked about. I want to talk more about like this, because obviously, if we're trying to get average order value up to $300 a listing, okay,
Yep.
and it's $25 an hour, they're out there for an hour. Let's just say they're out there for an hour and a half. Okay, let's just throw out a bigger number. We're still less than $50 for fulfillment. Now, what are other costs that maybe someone who's brand new doesn't know about, knows editors and knows other things? What do you guys plug in as a per listing, like maybe editor cost or like per listing? Like,
Yeah.
what's about other cost of goods sold stuff I need to think about?
Yeah, it depends on what you do in any given listing, but photos
Sure.
are obviously every time. Editing cost is, depending on your volume for good stuff, going to be 60 to 80 cents an image. So call it,
Mhm.
$30 for editing at a standard listing. Video editing is going to be $50 for a video edit. So, there you're closer to 70 or 80. And then the other costs are going to be not costs that are like true cost of goods sold, but more just operating costs. So admin time, gear initially. We do pay mileage for the photographer when they're driving. So that's a cost for us as a company that has a team. And so those are the general costs. There's some software costs, but that's fairly minimal. Like we pay $5 per project for our delivery management, business management system. There's different software. You have to get like Open Phone to do your phone systems and email stuff. But generally, that's one of the things that's nice about real estate media is it's a service business. So your cost of goods sold is relatively low. And I like that because I like to maximize margin when I can,
Sure. So then let's talk about margin. What's the average margin per listing? If you
So
just in general, you don't have to always, or just in your mind, like if you get that $300 per listing, that standard, what are you thinking it's coming home? What's staying?
Yeah, I mean, I think the easier way to look at it is a net as of the whole pie. So when you're a solo operator, our metric is you want to be making 80% or more net to you. Now, true, there's some of your time in there that's not being valued, but like just when it's you, you make 10K in revenue, you need to be taking home 8. If you're taking home less than that, you got to do some looking. That's going to flip on its head when you scale.
Good rule of thumb. Yeah, I like that. Go ahead.
So like when you have 3 to 4 photographers, you're probably 50% margin, and you can get down in the 20-30% range when you have a bigger team. And that's about where I think it shouldn't get lower than like 20.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, cool. That's good. That's good feedback. So here's what I have in my notes here as a take time. If you're by yourself, 80% should be the margin you're looking at taking home. If you got 3 to 4 people, you should look at least half should be net margin. And then as you get bigger than that, you're looking to try to stay above 20%. You don't want to get anything below that. Then maybe there's something going on or some type of inefficiency somewhere you need to like maybe pay attention to. Makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Yeah. Cool. I like that. Okay. So that is a good note. So then let's talk about Norman and Young specifically. Okay. So how many people, what's the operation look like today? How many people are there? How many admins you got? Well, how big of an area are you covering? Let's go.
Yeah. So all in, we probably have 15 people or so right now. I think it's 9 stateside and the rest are editors and virtual assistants. We do, this year will be like 3,500 homes, maybe a little bit more, somewhere in that range. So you kind of do the math on that in terms of like how many shoots we're doing per day. Photographers, we have 7, I believe, right now. And then we have Trent, who acts as the CEO and runs the day-to-day of the business. He's run it for last year and a half, and then another guy named Jared for a couple years before that. So that's kind of like our stack. And then we have an admin. So CEO, admin. We have one admin, and then we have VAs that help with different like delivery, quality control stuff, and then our team of photographers.
Got it. So it sounds like one CEO, one admin, maybe 3 VAs, and then 7 photographers or something like that.
Yeah, and a couple editors you got to throw in there that are doing the actual editing versus just like moving the photos and stuff. So it's like specifically right now it's 2 VAs and then our editing team.
Got it. Cool.
So that's how it was. Yeah.
Nice. I like that. Now, you hired a CEO for your local operation. Let's talk about that because that is interesting to me. Hiring an admin is easy. Hiring a VA is easy. Hiring editors takes you about 1 second. There's about a gazillion of them waiting for your business, hoping you send it to them. But let's assume that everyone figures that out on their own. How is it? Tell me about hiring a CEO, how that went down.
Oh, it's the best one ever. I mean, I think it depends on your goals, right? So like, if I was going to spend my time in Norman and Young and my goal was to push that business as big as I could, I would retain that role because I would enjoy it and want to. And I think that's where I could provide value. My goal with Norman and Young was to make it an asset that produced money for me that didn't take any of my time. And I meant any of my time. So like the CEO role, it's not even right now that much hours. It's just the final say, and I don't want to hear anything. I do a once a month meeting, and I sometimes miss that one where I know how the business is going. I check the P&L. I talk with Trent, see the issues are. If there's anything I can like input. But my goal then was, hey, I don't want to do anything with this. I want to focus all on my coaching business because my bigger picture things, I want to build a trade school online. And so like this was the next step for me. And so I had to have all my time back. Now, when you do that, you sacrifice margin, right? Because you have to pay somebody that's doing something you normally would do. And so I loved it because I was like, dude, this is great. My business does its thing. Sure, there's issues, but like I don't have to hear about them. So it's all, sunshine and roses, and like I'll do my own thing. But I think it was a great move for me. I was able to make the transition because I wasn't as scared of the business going down because my other business was taking off. But looking back, I'm like, even that fear that I had of like, I don't care if it goes down was not there because just like any other role, you hire a good person, they do a good job, your business keeps growing.
Yeah, that makes sense. Cool. And then you don't have to share numbers if you don't want to, but I'm assuming there's some type of profit share you promise or something like, how do you attract a CEO?
I mean, I'm all about the numbers. So good base salary. for that type of business. I mean, being the CEO of a roughly 7-figure a year plus or minus company is not a big thing, right? That's a small business still. So it's not like you're gonna get paid 300 grand a year to do that. So it's a base salary. It's less than 6 figures, and then a healthy chunk of profit share. So I get about 60%, and it fluctuates. When people leave, it's profit share, not equity, right? So sometimes you get it back for a little bit. So right now our admin doesn't have profit share because she's newer. She's going to get it, and so my margin will go down a little bit, or my share of the profit. But 60% of the profit is what I try to take, and for me, that's a little bit over 6 figures a year with everything in place. That's what I want to orient for. So my goal was like, hey, if this business could produce me 6 figures a year in cash flow where I don't do anything, that's the ultimate goal. And so I took a hit on the profit, right? If I'm running it, I can make multiple doing it, or I can get my time back. And so, yeah, I think profit share is huge. I'm incentivized by profit, and the people that I want in leadership, I think, should be incentivized by profit. So I do that across, we have multiple different businesses now, and I do that across all of them. I think it's a huge unlock.
Oh, sorry, I was muted. Yeah, that's really cool. Love that. Okay, so it sounds like you have a really good thing going because you got a CEO, and hey, sorry. Yeah, so you got a CEO in place. You have a healthy way to basically determine profit sharing and how that works. It sounds like it's minimal hours. So is it like basically 0 hours on the Norman Young side?
For me, yeah.
Okay.
I sometimes get into it when I'm bored and want to see what's going on. But I mean, it is a business that runs itself now after a lot of work, but it does.
Sure. I mean, getting to the point where you have 15 people, that takes a lot of work to get set up. So that rightfully so, I totally get that. So then tell me about, Trent is his name, I guess. Is that your CEO?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Right.
So is he also pushing new business, or is he just kind of operating, because you said referrals, you said repeat business and referrals.
Yeah.
How does he grow the business, and what is his vision for growing the business? And what do you coach him and tell him? Because if it's once a month, I know maybe that sounds too good to be true, but let's just say he comes and, hey, bro, texts you trying to get in this new market or whatever. What do you tell him? What do y'all do? What's y'all's like strategy to break into new markets or grow the business locally?
Yeah, so I was fairly clear up front about what my expectations were, and I told them, actually, it was Jared at the time. I said, I don't care if we grow, I just want to maintain this, and I want my time. And so it grows naturally, but there's churn naturally. So we've been, growing a couple percent a year. Sometimes it's 10%, sometimes it's 5%. Not as much as the growth was, but that's kind of been on purpose. This year, going into 2025, I'm looking for a little bit more of like a growth focus. And so that's what that role would be doing now. But the cool thing with real estate media is like you just focus on serving your clients better and remove churn, and then the referrals create the growth. So sure, we do brokerage presentations and we do different events and stuff, but like primarily it's just the smoother the operations, the more the business will grow.
Okay, so tell me about, how do you naturally create referrals? What is in place now to create referrals? Like, what is a more actionable step for someone? Like, hey, your project's done, refer us, please. Or what? Tell me what y'all do now. Just give us some.
So I mean, there's like two sides to it. So one is you get referrals if you just do a really good job and you try to over deliver. So we look for opportunities for that. The second one is asking for it. So I'm a big fan of just the question, hey, I'm trying to, X result, right? I'm trying to go full time when you're first starting, or, we just hired our first photographer and we need a little bit more business. Is there anybody that we should be working with? Just ask that question any chance you get. They give you a name, you call the name, you're like, hey, Jake sent me your way. He said I should be working with you. I shoot his real estate media. Can I do a free first shoot for you? Right? And then you do it and you get the business. So that's one. And then the other is we have an unofficial referral program where each side gets $100 in credit. I don't love that. I think the natural, just being a salesperson and working to make deals is better, but both play a role. Some people love getting referral credit.
Yeah, I've noticed that too. Sometimes people don't necessarily love to push for credits or referrals or affiliates.
They do it naturally, and it's more powerful when they do.
That's right. When it's less, when they also have an incentive, it's like they don't feel like, they feel a little bit slimy. When versus like, hey, this guy Eli, he did awesome. And he's just cool, and he always texts me back, and they're easy to work with, or his company's great, or whatever. You should check them out. And so what you're saying is, and so I think this is very important. Maybe a small couple things that are really important that I want to make sure I highlight. So you said you asked them, is there anyone that we should be working with? And it's almost like, hey, there's someone that you should be using us. So who comes top of mind? So is that accurate? Like how you asked the question?
Yeah, because they're going to refer you. If you ask it right, they're thinking about your business. You just ask them for a favor. People love to help. That's like a natural thing, right? Like whether you think that or not, people do. If you go vulnerably, hey, I really, I have two more clients, I can quit my job. They'll help you. So you go in with that attitude. They usually refer you someone they think is going to help you, which is usually a top producer. So they're going to think of either someone they know the best or someone that does a lot of business, and they're going to give you the name. That's all I want, and I'm going to do the work, right? I'm going to call, and I'm just going to name drop the person that referred. That way I don't get hung up on. And then I get a little bit more social proof and kind of a warm intro. And then I just make it no brainer, right? I'm a big fan of the first shoot free thing as a lead magnet. So I'm like, let me just do this. Let me do a shoot. If you don't like it, never use me again. If you like it and you like working together, let's do it. And they're like, you say sounds reasonable after that. And they're like, yeah, of course that sounds reasonable, right? And so
well, it's impossible because now you
yeah.
literally said like, hey, one of your friends who who likes you and you like them referred you. So now they're like kind of obligated to at least hear you out on the call, right?
Yes,
versus
they're
like
obligated to that. And then now I give them the free. So they're like not obligated, but like kind of obligated to see you on the shoot. And then if I get a shoot with them, they're done. They're going to use us. And so it's like,
nice.
That's how we approach that.
I do love first thing free. I love that because they know they have to pay for it eventually, but they're basically, if they don't.
People hate that in our industry a lot of times though. A lot of photographers won't do that. And I'm like, guys, like there's so much money behind that. Just think of it like a lead magnet, Yeah.
Interesting. Well, yeah, I mean, look at what's working, right? And so when someone pitches with, hey, I want to do this thing that you already need for free for you and help you out, they're going to feel very obligated to give you that next amount of work.
Yeah, it's a reciprocity thing, They're
right.
like, he did it for free, now I better pay him. And then they're not stuck in the negative term of the word. They just like working with us, and they're like, and before you know it, we've done 30 shoots for them over the last year and a half.
Mm-hmm. That's great. I love that. Think about like an account and not like one time, because I just. That's what I'm talking. It's operational efficiency. It's a different world. It's a different type of photography. It's different. So, let's just say, okay, so 3,500 listings a year. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Dallas, Fort Worth, big market, great market. Totally get I love the fact that you're in that market, or your team is. And I also think it's pretty cool. You got a CEO. That's great. I like that. Good job. Good for you. So you said it's about 7 figures a year. So it's about $1 million a year business, small business, but still enough to pay CEO and admin. That's just really, really great. So then what is like the gross revenue on something like that? Or roughly around, I mean, just, if I could throw out some guesses based on stuff you said earlier, but where is it looking to land? Like a great year for you. You're excited. Good job, Trent. Here's a big bonus check. Here's not that great of a year, So is it a listing volume thing? Or is it just, tell me about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's different things that play into it, especially at more scale. So the nice thing is when you're first starting, you can make up a market decline of 10% by just finding 4 more clients. When you get a little more scale, it's harder. So last year was down a good amount, like 15-20%. This year, we're back more where we should be. And last year was down in just real estate in general. Some of the bigger real estate media companies had the same thing. And so what was that, 2023? 2024 is better. I'm super excited about 2025. My goal is I'd love to do 1.3 for the year, somewhere in that range at Norman & Young. And I think that's possible. That's going to be 25-30% from more clients than we have now, if that makes sense.
Okay, so then how are you going to get those more clients? So how do you get those more clients? Let's just say churn stays around the same. People are going to leave. People, let's just say you got the operation fit. You're doing a good job. How are you going to grow that 20%? That's a big number, big ask. Are you going to hop on the phones and hit those free things? I mean, are you closing those deals, or are you going to hire more salespeople?
I'm not going to. I don't want to we got to have the system run itself.
Okay. I'm just asking. I'm asking.
No, 100%. So there's 2 things. When you're smaller, you can't do this, right? When you're smaller, you got to do one-on-one. We teach something called the Instagram method, which is you reach out to agents on Instagram. That's how we help people grow. When you start doing better revenue, even in the range of 15K a month, you start changing your focus from individual agents to brokers and brokerage deals. And so our growth strategy is going to be a couple things. It's going to be increasing average order value by pushing more luxury video products and other stuff. So I'm guessing that'll get us 10%. I think we can bump our AOV $30, right? Because that's going to get us about 10%. And then the other is going to come through targeted brokerage deals. So there's a bunch of brokerages where we have a handful of clients, call it 15% of the agents in that brokerage. What we do is we strategically go to those brokers and say, hey, can we work a deal with you where we'll shoot for, or at least be recommended to a majority of your agents in exchange for, we're going to give all of your agents 10% off or whatever. And so that's the strategy, is to raise AOV and then cut some discounts with bigger brokers to get more market share. And so that's how I think we'll be able to add, 300-400 grand to Norman and Young this year would be my goal.
Cool.
And that'll just be like a CEO led thing. I think at the small business level, it's almost funny to call it a CEO. It's more just like the operations person, and they're just going to have to be, Trent is going to be more focused on that in his role, like that hat that he wears, the sales role.
So then let's play out a scenario. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in suburb Fort Worth. Actually, I'm Trent right now. Okay. I'm looking on that. I'm looking at the place we want to grow. I'm looking at, am I going to Google Maps and saying, real estate brokers, and just look at their websites and just calling them, or I mean, because I've done it before. Actually, I actually love cold calling personally. It's a great skill.
No, it is a great skill.
But so is it that, or is it I'm on LinkedIn, or I'm on Instagram, like you mentioned before? Is it a combination of all those things, kind of swarming the niches? Am I targeting 10 specific people and like sending them funny things in the mail? Like what is it that that you want? You don't have to tell me all the secrets, because I know.
No. I mean, I'm an open book. So all of the above, but like a specific version. So lowest hanging fruit, you said this, but like identifying a group. So we're going to have a sort of list of people we want to work with. Probably going to be about 6 to 7 brokers is what I'm thinking right now. We're going to first start by looking of our client base, where they spread out, and we're going to find where we have enough clients at a brokerage to be interesting to talk to the broker, but not 80% already, because if we got 80% already, it's not worth the time. And so that's the first step. And then I'm a big fan of calling our clients and asking for their help, kind of like I talked about earlier. Call, Sarah and be like, hey, Sarah, like I really want to do a deal with, Keller Williams, the office you're at in general. And I'd love to get your broker involved, and that would result in like a discount for you, but I'd love to help like other people there do that. Like, who do I talk to, And then she's going to be like, oh yeah, that's, it's not the broker. He's actually lazy. Doesn't do any work. It's this person. She's the operating partner. Like, go talk to her. So that's the strategy. I like to pick up the phone too and just call brokerages, but it's just not the most effective if you already have sort of like a group of people you can sort of deputize to do your work for you. Right.
Sure.
So that's our approach.
That makes a lot of sense. So, I do love the idea of talking to people who already trust you, like you. Basically, what you're saying is it's an incentivized or a very specific targeted referral. So I'm going to go after my current people who I think I have growth potential with and say, hey, who should I talk to? And they're going to, maybe you already know the answer, but also it's possible that someone else that you're not thinking of, it works those kind of deals. It's kind of, and is the person you do to impress, and does like discounts, and does like doing contracts with large media companies, et cetera. So that all makes sense. I think are you leading with, so let's say you get that person's name, what's interesting about real estate is everyone's online. So everyone's accessible in some way. Their email's up somewhere, their phone number somewhere. You can call their office. It's actually quite interesting because they're probably over-inundated with a lot of stuff. Are you going to lead with, hey, I already work with 15 of your agents. I would love to work out a deal with the whole brokerage? Or is that how you kind of lead it? What's the pitch?
I mean, it's ultimately that. I kind of use the same framework as the, calling the referral thing where I name drop and like get the connection. I would just say I'd love to meet with them. You have to kind of speak broker. So when you're first starting, you learn to speak agent. They want, fast photos. They want you to be reliable, whatever. You learn to speak broker, and brokers care about how much money they make, obviously, but they do that through 2 things. It's market share. They can increase market share by getting more agents in their brokerage, or getting each agent to sell more properties, right? So you have those 2 things. So you need to pitch them stuff that aligns with that. So getting more agents is, hey, your media is going to look better. Your agents are going to be on social more with their videos. People are going to be like, dang, I want to work with that brokerage. Their agents kill it on social, have great media. So like, they're going to want to join there, right? And then that broker can be like, yeah, by the way, if you join with us, you get 10% off the media that you see us producing, this provider. And so like that's an asset. And the other thing is more listings for each agent. And that also is a media first pitch. Like, we can raise the floor of marketing in your brokerage. Like, what do you want to see? Like, what do you want the minimum to be? Like, what do you want to see more of? And we work with the broker to make the agents market better. The agents that market better, it's a long game. It takes more than a month, which is a long game to many people, unfortunately. But you start producing better content as an agent, and you win more listings, because buyers or sellers aren't stupid. They're going to, when they get presented, one agent who does all this media and has a great plan, and the other one who's like, I don't know, I might do some cell phone photos, like, you're going to win more listings. So you speak broker is the long story short. You talk to what the broker's incentivized by and help them do that.
Yeah, I like that. So I already knew brokers were incentivized by recruitment, but I was just curious what you said.
Very incentivized.
Yeah, and so that's good. I like that. Speaking broker, that's a really good. So then let's
not mine, by the way. That's one of our community members who has
really?
like $4 million a year who
Cool.
grew like that. So yeah,
nice. I like that. Speak broker. So then when it comes to speaking broker, or let's say you're picking any kind of market, how do you know what to speak like? Like, how do you learn what's important to them? What do you do? I know we're talking about
Yeah.
one industry right now, one specific, but in general, this is important for any industry. We sell into
Yeah.
a lot of them. I'm always trying to figure out what's the language you're saying, what's the vocabulary I don't know, what are these acronyms they're
Yeah.
talking about. It's always some acronym. Every industry is like weird acronyms. What are
Yeah.
they already speaking? How do you go about that? I'm curious because
Yeah.
that's so important when you're getting started into a
Yeah.
niche or trying to sell into it repeatedly. Anyways,
So, I mean, backing up to like big picture, right? One of the reasons I think picking a niche is so important is because you can actually take the time to get depth on what people care about in your industry. So, like, I'll use real estate as an example, but if you're doing weddings, anything like this, if you're doing all of it, you're never gonna know what your clients really want. So immersion is the answer, but because I only do real estate, I'm around real estate agents all the time, right? When I was growing that business. So I just learned how they think because they're the only people I was spending time with and learning how to market to and researching. It's the same with brokers. You just spend time with them and you start to learn what questions they're gonna ask, you start to learn what they're gonna ask you more about, and you just change your strategy. So it's not like one strategy. It's just if you cut everything else out, you get better at the only thing you're doing. And I think that's where you really grow the business. Like whether you're at $0 a month and you want to make your first 10K month, or you're like, you want to get your first 100K month, it just comes with more knowledge of a specific thing. And the easiest way to do that, because I don't like if the only way you're going to win is if you're a super smart or a genius, that's too hard for me, right? So like my strategy is get rid of everything else. So I just have to learn one, and that's easier.
okay, cool. I like that. I think it's a good kind of summary or answer to maybe some of that maybe entrepreneurial, young entrepreneur issue of kind of just having a hard time having attention to give attention to one thing. It's
You get a
everything's
million good
shiny.
ideas. No, it's
Yeah,
the
yeah,
ultimate. It's the ultimate killer of what your business could have been. Is you just, in my opinion, at least, every time I lose focus, I'm like,
yeah.
what was
Makes
that
sense.
for? You know?
So then let's talk about your coaching program, what you're doing a little bit,
Yeah.
and just kind of give a summary for the listeners out there who maybe aren't really are exposed to you really at all, and what you currently are doing, what you said you were really passionate about doing. I'd love to hear more about it so
Yeah.
folks can connect with that as well.
Yeah, I mean, I would say first thing, don't pay me anything. Like, go make sure you want to do this and make sure you like learning from me. So you can find me on YouTube and Instagram. I make content. Go make sure you like me first. But big picture about the business is,
That's
I
really
mean, for
funny.
real though.
Are
I'm not
you
to,
sure you like me?
no.
But are you sure?
Yeah,
Before you look at anything I'm selling, that's really funny.
yeah.
No,
My
no,
long-term thing is I
it's
like
great.
education and coaching. It was, 5 years into my business, I wasn't doing very much, and I started getting serious about, and it wasn't just like paying for stuff, right? It was just, I'd listen to audiobooks, I'd listen to podcasts, I'd go to events, I bought coaching programs, and I was like, wow, my business is actually growing now. No wonder, because I can not learn from myself, right? So I'm like, as any, business owner, I think I value education and what it's done for me. And I want to build a business in that. So like we were talking before the call, I'd love to build a trade school where people can learn, real skills that can help them make a business rather than just, going to school and getting a degree and being like, now what? And so real estate photography is like my micro test of that. And
Makes
so,
sense.
yeah, we built a great team. We have at any point about 200 people that we coach, and our team's like 30, 35 people right now. And I love coaching.
Cool. So then what is coaching? Because like I know when I think of coaching, I think of like I played baseball. We're out
Yeah.
there on the field, we're hitting balls, we're throwing things around.
Yeah.
What does coaching look like for you in your world?
Yeah.
And why is it valuable to like just look into that for you
Yeah.
or
So
from you,
what
I would say,
I
or from your team?
wanted,
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
yeah. And what I wanted is kind of what I tried to build. So like I think, I should clarify coaching because it's not just like do this, do that. It's like I think you want to have a similar roadmap to what you'd see in any like real in-person trade school. So there's a curriculum you're going through, right? There's steps you're supposed to take. There's a teacher that is going to help you and talk to you and do one-on-ones. And then there's community. So that's what we do. We call it like a business in a box program. And we have 2 different stages. So when you're first starting, it's called launch. The entire goal of that program is to get you to 5K a month as a real estate media person. So we got to teach you photos, videos, tours, systems, getting clients, everything like that. And then forward is scaling the business. But yeah, I think like for me, when I talk about like the trade school, which is my bigger vision, it's not just a coach, you get on, you talk, you leave. It's like it's a school online that helps people become a real estate media person or whatever other real in-person business you can start. I think that's what I'm going to be working towards.
Cool. I love that. Great. Well, good. Well, we will tell everyone who checks out this interview to go type in Google Eli Jones, type in like really great real estate media companies, Norman and Young. No, I'm just kidding. But if you're seeing this interview, yeah, if you're in Dallas Fort Worth and you need someone to hire, please check out Norman and Young. No, but in general, if you're looking to go, if you're looking to either launch or grow and scale to the levels he's talking about in this call, $1 million plus, right? But obviously, you have to start somewhere. You have to do your first sale. You have to actually know and have some expectations of what reality looks like, and what better way to learn from someone who's already done it and is doing it well. That's a smart path. And that's what we do too from our side, is how do we just learn faster? We go find the best people in the world. We go find consultants. Actually, I think I saw this recently, which I thought was really interesting. Mr. Beast, number one YouTuber in the whole world, has this document that says for his employees, hire consultants. The number one fastest way you could ever get to anywhere is to learn something new is to hire a consultant. And it's his like philosophy of how they grow, and they're very, very big. So big deal. So it's a good way to think about it. So I guess you look at Eli, what he's doing, first off, as he said, make sure you like him. But once you're past that check mark, hopefully this call got you there, or this interview did, this got you there. Now go see his stuff. I would encourage you to do so. Anything else for anybody else that's listening, Eli, you want to share before we cut it off?
Yeah, I mean, just media wise, I think a lot of people are worried about the industry. I think we're in the best time ever for media and creative, make money with the camera stuff ever. So don't let any, negative thoughts get you down. Just build your business, and I appreciate you having me, Zach.
Yeah, man, it's been a lot of fun. Thanks for joining me. Good call. I could talk to you for a while about a lot of stuff, but for now, we're going to cut it here. Have a good day, man. Enjoy yourself. And then we'll wrap it up.
See ya.
This episode is brought to you by Pictastic.ai. Create property websites for project and photo delivery for your real estate. Automatically create property websites, host on your own URL, require payment to download, and let's make sure we always get paid through every project. And now announcing our new virtual staging AI tool. Inside Pictastic.ai, you can add empty rooms, click a button, and virtually stage with furniture like bedrooms, living rooms, kitchens, etc. completely 100% with AI in about 25 seconds. It's an incredible tool where you can add empty rooms and then deliver them fully furnished with beautiful virtual staging, all with one click inside of Pictastic.ai. Create property websites, virtually stage photos, and get paid every project, every time. Let's go crush together. See you at Pictastic.ai.